Doing an NBA and NHL finals. Ramble here today. Review. End of review. End of season. Season's type ramble. The Hurricanes beat Vegas last night, so they won their series 4-2. So my new state has won NHL, and my old state won the NBA. I'm a fan of neither team, so. But I have no problem with either of those teams either. Even with the fact that Carolina just beats the Islanders in the playoffs, like historically, the 4 times they've played, that doesn't affect me. I'm not like, I hate them because they beat my team. No, they have a better team, so I have no problem with it. But they did win. I'll go over NBA first, and then that. The Knicks won it on Saturday night. They won it in 5. They won that. They won that game 594-90. Now San Antonio blew double-digit leads in I think every game. I don't know why this is behaving as if. As if I have autofocus on. I do not. San Antonio blew double-digit leads in every game. It started with game 1. I think they had a pretty big lead. Even in the 4th, and they blew it. I'm not going to count if you have like a 10-point lead early in the second quarter. But when they blew the 29-point halftime lead, they were still up 15 going into the 4th. I mean, that obviously, that lost in the series, and I said as much, and I think everybody would agree. There was no coming back from that loss. You were not, maybe they could have won that game 5. They were not winning that series. You lose a game like that, it's not happening. And they are a young team. I have my brackets here. I had the Thunder the Celtics beating the Thunder 4-3. Now we know that didn't happen. The Celtics couldn't even get out of the first round. I wasn't right on anything here. It was Knicks and Cavs in the conference final in the East. Oh, the Thunder did make I had the Thunder losing the NBA Finals. They did make the conference finals. I had the Spurs getting knocked out in the second round to Denver in 7. I was well off the mark on that one. Not as much off the mark in the NHL. The Knicks had that. Anobi did have. I think I said that in the other video I had put up today with the tapping. I knew he was on the Raptors, and I didn't know for sure, but yes, he was on the title team. So he had the NBA Finals experience and winning one. The Knicks have a solid team they've had since they've picked up these players. They will be good again next year. I don't know if they'll repeat, but they're going to be good. They have a good team. Brunson went nuts. Brunson was not shooting well early in the series, but he was still getting his points, getting the line, everything else. That's the thing with really good players, great players. They'll always find a way to get points, be it at the free throw line, maybe hitting a couple timely threes, whatever it may be. But he went nuts in that final. He had 45 in the game 5, so he closed it out. I'm pretty sure he won Finals MVP. They have a great starting 5 and a pretty decent bench. The Spurs have a young team. I mean, they were making some blunders throughout the series, like a lot of mental mistakes. They're sitting there saying, "Oh, experience." I mean, still though, you weren't making those mistakes throughout the rest of the playoffs. It's just happening, You could be in the league 10 years and have gone to 3 finals and won all 3, and in the 4th one you just make some blunders. It happens. They'll be good again though too. The Spurs are going to be really good. They'll be in the mix. The Spurs and the Knicks will both be in the mix. Thunder will be back in the mix. Celtics. A lot of people are saying the Celtics are going to get Giannis. And I know Miami. Apparently Portland was in the conversations for that. I'm like, what? They ain't getting him. No. Not that I would love to see them get him, but that's not happening. But they won. Let's go to their. I just want to go to their team page just so I can see all the games to get the scores instead of going to the schedule on ESPN and having to keep going backwards. Now for their run, they had a hell of a run. The Knicks. They were down 2-1 in the series against Atlanta, and those were both 1-point losses. I think both of that happened at the end of the game. CJ McCollum was going nuts. Then they not only won the next 3 games, they obliterated them. They won game 6 by 50. The game 4 win, they won by 16. Then they won by 29. Then 51. They sweep Philadelphia. They beat them by almost 46, 14, 30. They were obliterating some teams here in some of these games. Cleveland blew a lead, I think, in the game 1 of that and never recovered. Because they lost the next game by 16, then by 13, then by 37 in Cleveland in a deciding game 4. And then they won by 10 against San Antonio by 1. They lose by 4. They win by 1. They win by 4. It was a tight series. Like, clutchness and mental toughness, we'll say, went in the Knicks' favor. That's why they won the series. And they were never out of a game, even when they were losing these games. Even a lot of people are like, oh, when they were losing badly in game 4 at the half by 29, I was like, the way they've been playing, like, I wouldn't be surprised if they at least made this a game. And they were making it a game and they ultimately win. Because the NBA now, a lot of teams blow huge leads in the NBA now. Like, I know. Now, this was Portland against Golden State, and this was a little further back. But this has been happening for a while, where Portland would go up 20 in the half, and they would lose by 35. Like, and of course, Golden State shooting the lights out. It's different, right? But the Knicks have a good shooting team, too, I would assume. I don't know the full stats, but in today's NBA, with the way teams shoot the 3, if you get hot from 3, a 20-point lead will be down to 3 in less than 10 minutes. Like, if you just hit 5 threes in a row and the other team gets a little cold, you're right back in the game. You know? It's a different game than it used to be, even in the mid-2000s, you know, and going back. The game's different. You can get back into games. So them blowing that lead is still, listen, you cannot do that. If you're up 29 at the half, you cannot do that. You can't do it. Like, you have to either hold that lead. It's going to probably naturally go away a little bit. But you can't. They're still up 15 in the 4th. But they were like chucking threes up for no reason. Fox was making a lot of mental mistakes. Going for a layup when he could have been dribbling out clock. You know, it happens. But the Knicks are a very clutch team. So they got it done. But they only lost 3 games. They end up going, 16-3 in the playoffs, which is, in reality, incredible. And like I said, San Antonio will be back. The Knicks will be... These teams are going to be in the mix next year as well for the title. I could see them both at least going conference final next year, if not both getting back to the finals. Thunder is still going to be good. Denver... The West, I think, is kind of a little... I mean, who else we got floating around the West? Minnesota will be solid. Yeah, I had the Nuggets going to the Nuggets didn't even get out of the first round. Pretty sure Minnesota beat the Nuggets, right? Minnesota will still be good. Denver will still be decent, but the Lakers, they'll be like, they're going to be great because it's a huge team, probably the most popular team in the league, them and the Celtics. But they always say that, oh, Lakers are going to be great, and they're not. They'll make the playoffs, but they're like a wild card almost. It's really right now, I'd say the Thunder and the Spurs, that's like their conference right now, I feel. The East, the Pistons got a little better. They made the second round. Cavs should be decent again. Celtics should be better next year regardless if they got Giannis or not. They should not get bounced in the first round. Knicks will obviously be really good. Toronto, I think the East is a little deeper than the West. But yeah, that's the end. What had the Spurs do? Actually, let me look at what the Spurs did for the full playoffs. They beat Portland in 5 in the first round. I know that. They beat Portland in 5, and I think Wemby missed 2 games in that series, and Portland couldn't capitalize because God forbid, Portland's the one of the top players in the league's out. Portland still can't win. It's so annoying. They've had that problem for a while now. They beat the Wolves in 6, and then they won in 7 against OKC, and they were down 3-2 in that series, and they lose in 5. Both those teams will be in the conversation next year, though. Let's go to some NHL here. Carolina obviously beat Vegas in 6. This was another. Both these series were wild. Like, even though they went 5 and 6 games, blown leads, back and forth, down to the wire type stuff. Like, they were entertaining series. They were not. I hate when people say a team loses in 5 or even gets swept. They'll be like, oh, they dominated them. Look back at series that are sweeps. When I think dominated, I'm going to tell you what I think of. I think of the Islanders being swept by the Rangers in the 93-94 playoffs, where the Islanders were beat like 8-3 every game. That's complete domination. You can get swept and lose every game in overtime in either sport. I look at that as clutch domination by one team, not overall domination. That's clutch domination. I sit here and I say, the Knicks clutch dominated the Spurs when it mattered most. You know? When it came down to getting the big points at the end of games, the Knicks dominated. This Vegas and Carolina series was extreme. Blown leads in this one as well. Vegas blew a 4-0 lead. They ended up winning double overtime. Carolina blew a couple of leads as well. Very entertaining, especially the first 4 games were very entertaining. They beat them 3-0 in the game 6. It was funny, I looked up, is his name Bussy, the goalie they threw in, because Frederick Anderson, after he got pulled in game 3 because he was getting lit up, and they went with the other guy, Bussy. I was like, let me look up this guy's young gun. People immediately new listings. I looked up this morning, new listing, it's like $35. I'm like, he had a pretty good regular season. His save percentage was under 9, but he was like 31-6. Now, I'm going to tell you something else here. But I wanted to look just to see. It's like, oh yeah, people are like, it makes sense, right? He's hot right now. Get on and sell that rookie card. But that rookie card was probably going for like $15, $20 anyway, because he was having a good regular season. Frederick Anderson he won game 2. He was pretty good in game 2, actually. He was not great in game 1, and he got lit up in game 3. That's why they pulled him. That was the game they came back down 4-0. 2 of the games went to overtime, I believe. 1 went to double. 1 single. But a lot of back and forth action there. Vegas has been to 3 finals in, 9 years? 9. It's funny because their expansion draft was nuts. Like, I was looking at their team that they got from the expansion draft, and they went to the finals in their first year. A lot of those guys are gone, but they turned those guys into trades, which made the team even better moving forward. But they had an excellent team from that expansion draft. The Kraken, when Seattle came in, they didn't have nearly as good a team. I don't know what was going on there. Where Vegas, did they just want Vegas to be great out of the gate? Because I'm like, why does Seattle have kind of a shit team? Not terrible. They made the second round once. But they only made the one. They've been in the league 6 years, maybe. They won the playoffs once. Maybe only 5 years. But Vegas was pretty stacked from the expansion draft. I remember back when Ottawa and Tampa came into the league and were fucking terrible. They got a good player here and there in the expansion draft, but they were terrible. Now the Islanders, when they came into the league in 72-73, they sucked for 2 years and then were awesome. In the Islanders' first 10 years in the league, they won 4 cups. What? They had as many cups as their rival, the Rangers, did. And the Rangers were one of the original 6, and they already had as many cups. Well, I'm sorry, they had more cups than them. Because the Rangers' 4th cup came in 93-94. They actually had more cups than them. 10 years in the league. I remember my uncle saying, because my uncle was a Rangers fan, obviously grew up on Long Island, and he's like, yeah, I had to be an Islanders fan, I'm a Rangers fan in New York when the Islanders were four-peating, and then he moved to Jersey, and the Devils started winning cups. He did get to see the Rangers win in 93, 94, but he's like, and then also the Devils are winning 3-4 cups or whatever. They ended up winning 3, I think. But yeah, anyway, that was a. I had the Hurricanes going in the finals and losing to the Avs in 7. The Avs lost. I had the Knights losing to the Oilers 4-3 in the second round. Oilers didn't even make it out of the first. The Knights swept the Avs, but apparently they just own the Avs, as they say. We own your franchise. Bullshit, right? We, the team, does. You didn't do anything, fan. They beat them a lot, so the Avs did make the conference finals. The Hurricanes, I had going to the finals. I had them losing, but they did make it. But the Lightning didn't even get past the first round. The Hurricanes beat the Canadiens in the first round of the conference final. Sabres made the second round. I did a little better on this one. Not by much. Vegas is good, though. They'll be back next year, too. The Hurricanes will be good. The Hurricanes have been good for a bit now. And they broke through and got that cup. I think they had the most points in the Eastern Conference. They were the 1 seed, right? Yeah. Well, they won their division, but they were the overall one. Because they do it by division. Actually, I'm sorry, they didn't even play because 5 teams made it from whatever the Sabres division's called. So you had the Penguins and Flyers play each other, and the Canadiens and Lightning, and the Sabres and Bruins. You had one interdivisional first round, the Hurricanes and Senators, because the other, the Western Conference was 4-4. Avs will be back, although I think the Avs window might be closing a little bit, but they'll be back competing in the mix. Lightning probably will be. See if the Sabres, in reality, made the second round. They won the division. They made the second round. And they hadn't made the playoffs in a long time, so we'll see if they can build up momentum and get consistently back in the playoffs. This is what I was going to say. The Islanders are a weaker version of the Hurricanes. The Islanders had better goaltending than the Hurricanes this year. Because I was looking at the stats. I'm like, I knew the Avs were 1-1, I think, in goaltending and goals for. They made the conference finals. I don't know what Vegas was. Let me check. But the Hurricanes were second in goals for, and I think 5th in goals against on the average. Their save percentage was under 9 as a team. But they got a really good D. But they can score goals. So if their goalies aren't on, or their D's not playing well, they can still win you games. The Islanders are the opposite. They have good goaltending. And the problem is their defense sucks now. Their D used to be good. So Sorokin is a little not as good as he was a couple of years ago, but he's still over 900 save percentage. Had 7 shutouts. The problem is, if their D sucks, he's getting left out to dry. He gets screwed. If he has a good D in front of him, he's even better than he is without a good D. And he's pretty good without a good D. The problem with the Islanders is they were like 23rd in goals for and like 5th in goals against. This is the problem that they've had for years. They do not score. I'm hoping DeBoer now as their coach leans into like offense, because somebody needs to step up next year. Guys need to start scoring more goals. Because the Hurricanes score, and they defend well. Now, maybe if the Hurricanes' defense wasn't good, their goalies would all of a sudden be exposed. I don't know. I don't fully know. But their goalies were still solid enough. The fucking Islanders do not score goals, man. They always freaking struggle. Let's look at the team, though. I want to see where Vegas was. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They were 14th in goals for Vegas, so they were middle of the league. Because that's the thing, if the Islanders could get up to like 12 to 15 in goals for, they'd have an extra 10 points. They'd have another 5 wins. Yeah, but I didn't know Carolina was that good in goals. I knew they were a decent goal scoring team, but they also led the league in shorthanded goals. They have a great power play as well. Pretty solid penalty kill. What's their penalty kill? The Islanders were top 10 in penalty kill, and Hurricane were 11. I'm surprised by that with the Islanders. But let's look at the Islanders' power play. Geez, Edmonton was first with 30.6% on the power play. Carolina was fourth. Islanders were 30th. They don't score on the power play either. Oh, man. Anyway, goaltending. Carolina was 5th in goals for. Islanders were 6th in goals for. Islanders were like 4th or 5th in overall save percentage for a team, but they faced a lot of shots too, the Islanders. Not the most in the league, but they were probably top 5 in shots against. Actually, the Hurricanes and the Islanders both had a 2.88 goals against. The difference is, well, where was Vegas? Vegas was 12th and 12th. That's funny. So they were literally middle of the pack, but they do have a lot of their guys on their team do have playoff experience and finals experience. So that's always key as well. But see, the Islanders are 288 goals against. They're 279 goals for. Hurricanes are 288 goals against. They're 355 goals for. 3.55. Come on, man. The Islanders are a poor man's Hurricanes. Just like back when the Blazers could hit the 3, okay, but not like the Warriors. They were a poor man's Warriors. Warriors could consistently hit the 3. Portland could for a half. They're probably more the worse than a poor man's Warriors back then. Let's see how the Hurricanes did. They swept both the Flyers and the Senators. They lost that first game against Montreal 6-2, but then won the next 4. And then they won in 6. They were down 2-1 to Vegas. But they were 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They were 6-1 in overtime games in the playoffs. That's getting it done in the clutch right there. That's out clutching teams. Because they beat the Flyers twice in overtime. I mean, that Montreal series, they're down 1-0. The next 2 games, they win in overtime. They lose one of those games, completely different series. They're just getting it done in the clutch. Let's look at Vegas and see what their playoffs were like. They were down 2-1 in the first round to Utah. Let's see what they did. 3. They were 4-1 in overtime. But they were down 2-1 against Utah. The next 2 games go to overtime and double overtime. They win them both. One of those games goes the Utah's way. They get it done in overtime. Vegas doesn't get out of the first round, maybe. They were clutch until the NHL Finals. They got out clutched. It was a pretty good clutch battle, but and then they just kind of beat up on the Avalanche. They were 2-2 tied with Anaheim. But that game 5 goes to OT. They get it done. Take the 3-2 series lead, and they win 5-1 in game 6. Hurricanes have a great team. They just had struggle getting through, breaking through. You get to a couple of conference finals, but not do well. And this year they broke through and got it done. So, and they will be good again next year. And Vegas will also be good next year too. But there has been some World Cup games going on. Germany won. Was it Caraco? They won like 7-1. Japan and Netherlands had a 2-2 draw. I'm going to probably watch the England game, Croatia, on Wednesday. I think it's on like 4 o'clock. Let's look at the scoreboard. Spain is playing Cape Verde today. Belgium, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Uruguay, and Iran and New Zealand are all playing today. Who played yesterday? Australia beat Turkey 2-0. Germany, Morocco, if I'm saying that right, 7-1. Netherlands, Japan, 2-2 draw. Ivory Coast beat Ecuador 1-0. Sweden beat Tanzania. I don't know how to say that, 5-1. Qatar and Switzerland with a draw 1-1. Brazil and Morocco draw 1-1. Scotland beat Haiti 1-0. McGinn did have the goal in Scotland. I'm like paying attention to the Aston Villa players. Canada and Bosnia Herzegovina 1-1 draw. U.S. beat Paraguay 4-1. They had a good showing. It's a good showing for the U.S. Mexico beat South Africa 2-0. South Korea beat Czechia, if I'm saying that right, 2-1. And that was the start. I will do, once every team has maybe like 2 games ready to go, I'll do kind of a little ramble talking about scores and stuff. I don't want to do it. Like I said in the Chinese food eating video, I'm not doing a bunch of them because I know how it goes. I know from experience with the Premier League how it was viewing well, then fell off a cliff. I would expect the same here. So I'm going to do a little pour periodically so people are like, oh shit, a new one, nice. It's not constant and people stop giving a shit. I don't know. But anyway, NHL and NBA seasons are over. Congrats to the Hurricanes and the Knicks. If you're a fan of those teams, great. Congrats to your teams. And the new season will be here before you know it. Premier League starts in like 2 months. We got the World Cup going till, the end of July. So, there's that. And then you'll be like, Premier League's ready to go a couple of weeks later. And then football will be back as well. Baseball, the boring baseball this summer. Well, now the World Cup's going on. So people have a little bit of, I could watch the World Cup or baseball. Baseball ramps up as the season kind of gets to the end and then you get to the playoffs. Maybe I'll do a sports ramble where I talk about some of the scores and what's been going on in the World Cup and then talk about baseball as well. Hockey and basketball draft should be coming up at the end of this month. So, still plenty of crap going on. But yeah, just rambling here on NBA, NHL Finals, and